as we begin together, I'm just going to ask us to take a couple of minutes in prayer. And what I'm going to do is just share with you a prayer for the end of the school year. So let's put ourselves in the presence of the Lord, and we'll bless ourselves in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. At the end of this school year, we give thanks to God for all the teaching and learning that has taken place in our school, both in and out of the classroom, for the talents and the gifts that have been shared and the challenges that have been faced, for the burdens that have been lifted and the hurts that have been healed, for the respect and care that has been given. We give thanks for the friendships that have just begun and for those that have grown, for the faith that has been lived in our daily struggles, for the hope that has lifted our hearts in the dark days, and for the love that has kept us going. We give thanks for the community that we are, and we ask you, Lord, bless our students. May your Spirit inspire them with kind confidence and calmness. May our families, as we take our holidays, have memories that they cherish. Pour out your love on us that we may return renewed and refreshed to continue our journey together. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit.
Father, the Son,
Amen.
the Holy Spirit. Amen.
I haven't used this tool since about 2017. So
Okay.
I'm going to show you what I know. Also, I was telling Andrea that Nearpod did open up some extra opportunities for how you could use the product in remote learning. Did you use Nearpod in remote learning?
I used it, but not extensively, really. I did one lesson, but I did take, I did obviously like everybody else, a few YouTube videos, and I also got in contact with the company, and they gave me a in-depth demonstration of what it is.
Okay, good. So you can share a little bit about what you liked or why you might or might not use it next year. And what I think I'll do is I'll begin with a little playtime with the three of you. So I'll start up a Nearpod exercise, and then you might need to minimize Zoom to play with it, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm going
to, the best is to have two screens when you do it remotely.
Okay.
So to have side-by-side screens, so you can see that we can see your screen and we can answer as a student.
Right, right. So we'll play and see how it works. And as I had mentioned, Nearpod's been around for years. They have free portions and they have paid portions. So as a teacher, I only use the free version. I don't even know anymore what makes me a silver user. I'll be quite honest. I've been in it so long. I think I started with it when it began. So I don't know if everybody is a silver user for free. So that I can't tell you. But what you can see is that I've got these little lesson boards that I've had for years, and they just stay there. And so the nice thing about these is not only can you create your own lessons, but you could also search for lessons. So there can be something for everybody. I can create a lesson in Nearpod or Google Slides. And if you just want to get kind of a vision before we try it together, what Nearpod is almost like is the ability to have a slideshow where you're talking to your students, but then it could be every other slide, it could be every few slides. You could ask the students to respond to you. And if they're very little, it could be a response in a picture that they draw. It could be in something that they type. And you can share certain responses with the whole class. So if you wanted to have a discussion, let's draw something that starts with the book sound, or let's, draw a setup for an experiment. You can then share some exemplar answers, and you could share some responses that you want to discuss. So as a teacher, I've already created these. This is something that I created back in 2016 for a tech workshop. And what I can do anytime that I want, I can edit. I'm going to just preview it so that you can see it before we try it together. So this lesson I was considering for like a second, third grade classroom where a teacher might be working with syllables and helping kids practice the idea of breaking a word down into syllables. So as I began my lesson, I might begin talking about, what do you remember that a syllable is? What picture are we looking at? We might talk about how you could say banana and clap between each syllable to see where it's banana. And then this next page could show us how I, as a teacher, want them to write it down on paper when they're showing the syllables. And then I could ask an open-ended question. So I'll say something to you, and then you could just type it. And then I'll ask you to respond by writing down how it looks like with the syllabication. And you can even bring in PDFs that kids could write on top of. So it's an interesting tool in as far as I've used it. And when I'm ready for a live lesson, I could click this button down here, or I could let students go at their own pace if I was giving instructions and then just letting them answer questions. So when I say that I want to start a live lesson, and I was testing it this morning to remember how it works. Do I want to resume it? No. So we're going to start a new live lesson. Like everything else in the world, what it's going to do is give you a little code that they type in. So if you're working with very young kids, you would need a parent friend to be sitting next to them, or you might be able to share that as a link that would get that to them. So if I say share it as a link, I could copy this link and paste it into an email or put it in SeeSaw or Google Classroom or Class Dojo, whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link in the chat first of all, and you can try to click on that. And I'm going over to a different browser. I'm going into Firefox. So you could create a new tab by clicking the plus key. You could start this up on a cell phone or something else. I'm in the student mode when I'm showing you my Firefox screen, and I'm in my teacher mode when I'm showing, when I'm showing you my Chrome screen. So that way I can, in my recording, let people say, see one and the other. So first of all, it's asking when you get there for your name. And you could just have it be a first name or whatever. And I'm going to join my session as a student. And so what you'll see if you do this yourself, or what I'm seeing as a student, is that very first picture, that very first PowerPoint slide, if you want to think about it that way. And as a teacher, I can also use the student view to see the student perspective. So you don't have to be in two different screens at the same time. If you were working as a teacher in the classroom and you had a middle school student come late to class, once they get used to using Nearpod, they would know how to go to the Nearpod website. And this code is up here in the upper left-hand corner, so they could always get to it. As a teacher, I can click down at the bottom of the screen. There's these little heads in the classroom. And so I see the number 3. So if I was physically with kids, there's 3 kids in the classroom. I see all 3 of them. If I'm in remote learning, I can click on that to see that Anna, myself, and Firefox and Pat have joined. So if you can't join, that's okay, Andrea. And if you're having trouble, just shout out and let me know.
Okay, I'm going to go join now. So.
Okay, and there's no rush to do it. You'll also see that there's a button down here, show student names. So that shows or hides students' names when you're sharing with the class. So sometimes there's no reason to let other students see who shared a response. So that's what this button does. It allows you to show a name or hide a name. And so at this point, you know, we would have a conversation about what do we remember about syllables. And then once I feel like we've gotten that down and we've practiced clapping between words, I might put this up and say, let's try it together. We're going to do banana. And so I want you to try banana. Do you see? You know, so you'd be talking like that. And now comes the time for interaction. So what I'd like you to do in whatever device you're doing is spell the word apple for me. So you can do that right now. And if you, once you do that, you can kind of raise the Zoom screen again if you're not looking at it so you can see what I'm seeing as a teacher. But right now, I've got no participation from anyone in the class. On my screen under the student name, I see stars. And then I get my first student answer. So I've got 25% participation. And then I'll let you all do whatever you choose, spelling it correctly or incorrectly, it doesn't matter which. And is anybody having trouble getting to typing in an answer? Just verbally let me know. So I've got a second response. I got 50% participation.
I just haven't set it up yet.
And that's okay. Yeah. No worries. I just, you know, I want you to get a chance if you want to try it.
Okay.
If you don't, that's okay. And so as the teacher, you know, you're waiting for that response. We could begin having a discussion about, you know, I see two different answers. You know, what do you notice that's different between the answers? I could, if I needed to, show students' names. So Anna gave us an example where maybe the child spelt it wrong, and Andrea got the example where the child spells it right. And then I'm ready to move on once we've had that conversation. And so now I have a drawing option.
I should mention that when I spelled it wrong, my screen shows to me, do you want to edit your answer? So if a teacher tells, you know, goes near the desk of such student that spelled it wrong, you can quietly tell them, you can edit your answer, and then you have a chance to do that as well. I don't know if
No, that's important. And so now I've switched over to my student view, the Firefox side, and I did something very similar to what Anna did. I spelled apple really wrong. And so when I go to submit, that's where Anna's saying, if you're face-to-face, or even if you're on Google Meet or class, you know, or Zoom or whatever, you could put a chat message directly in the box to an individual student. So even if you're not face-to-face, I could chat privately to Anna and say, why don't you take a look at your answer? Do you think that you held a key down too long? And then Anna or myself, I could go there and edit the answer and just realize that, yeah, I held my button down too long and resubmit that. So thank you. Anna, anytime you notice something, let me know. And so now I have 60% participation. So now I'm changing the screen. So like you're seeing, that what a lot of teachers liked about Nearpod and still do like is that you're able to still have kind of like a traditional slide presentation, but it gives you this piece that's a formative assessment so that you can get some feedback from every individual student and be able to have quiet conversations as you're walking in the classroom, have quiet conversations in a chat, you know, whatever product that you're using with the students so that you can give them some support. So I'm gonna just give you all a couple of quiet minutes to try to draw. And I'm gonna go ahead to my Firefox side. So here I am as the student. When you're drawing, and this is the free version, As a student, I have a pencil that I can draw with a choice of 8 colors. So I'm going to go ahead and write my answer. So I'm drawing my syllables. And then also there's a highlighter tool, so I could ask them to highlight the symbol that we use to show where the syllables are broken down. I have a text box, so if a student was really uncomfortable with using the mouse and it really didn't need a drawing, you could use that text box to type. With the image option, you could browse files and upload an image. So if the likelihood of me having anything I can upload here is ridiculous, but I'm just gonna take my picture. And so I could put a picture of something that's on my hard drive. I can erase, and you'll notice that it has the slider, so you could have a really gigantic eraser or something much more small. So maybe I realized that I didn't want to have the dash in between the A and the P. We've got undo and redo. You could erase the whole drawing with this little X box, and you could lock it so nothing changes once you think you're in good shape, and you don't, as a child, want to mess up by mistake. And then I'm going to submit my answer. So when I come here to the Nearpod side as the teacher, I can see what Anna did, what I did. I see when I show student names that Pat's in progress and Andrea and Trish aren't drawing right now.
I am now.
Oh, you are now, okay. So,
Going to, I'm just trying to find where it went again.
oh my gosh, I know. And this is the remote learning problem, right? Because if you use Nearpod with the kids and they're on 2 different things, you know, it's going to take a few classes just to get them used to switching between one screen and another. And as I said, Anna may have more information having tried it with the students. I don't know what extras that Nearpod may have given us for remote learning, because some of the programs actually developed new features over the last 3 or 4 months specifically to support that remote learning. So I haven't done that.
I think the only thing I've only seen the latest version. I don't know what necessarily improved when it comes to distance learning. I'm going to say that the ability of looking things in Google, like you were able to put that image, but you can also when you click on the image, it allows you to Google things directly in here.
Okay, that I didn't know.
And obviously the self-paced option at the end, which means that you can create your entire presentation. And if a student is not in this classroom, or let's say you have hybrid classroom where half your students are in the classroom and half of them are at home. If you don't want to burden the ones at home with having 2 screens so they can see yours like we are right now, or things like that, you can just send the entire presentation to them.
Mm-hmm.
They can just click and finish as they go, the self-paced, obviously, and they can just submit it,
Right, and I can let you all try a self-paced one as well. Patricia, are you still having trouble with only seeing the spell this word screen with no place to answer, or was that from before?
I'm good.
Okay, good, good, good. So if you have Zoom up again, if you look at my screen, it's going to be different than what you're seeing as a student, because right now as a teacher, I'm just flipping through the responses that I received so far. And that allows me to know, do I want to move on? Is there something I want to focus on? And so what I want to do is I want to focus on, let's say, this one right here. So I can say share, and once I say share, we should, there we go. You should all see what I'm seeing right now. So it's one child's way of doing the syllables with apple. So what I could do as a teacher is say, okay, the dash is between the two P's. So let's try it all together, apple. So is that how it sounds? And then maybe I would unshare that and try another example. And so now we could try as a class, we have two dashes. So when we say apple, do we say pull? And so it gives you that ability to share and unshare particular answers for the students. And then once, as the teacher's side, I'm ready to close that piece of the lesson and move on, I'm clicking this blue arrow again, and it's giving us this next little picture. And so perhaps I don't want you to do anything with it, except I want you to get your notebook out. And so I might say, I'm going to ask you all to work in small groups, and I want group A to work on the first three on their paper together, group B, group C, whatever. And so, you know, as I'm working with the students, I can allow them to do some paperwork, but have some PDF in front of them that they can focus on. And so I am going to go back as the teacher. I'm finished with this lesson. And so now I can close this out. And I'm going to end the session. Am I sure I want to end the session? Yes. And so now on your screen and mine, it says as the student, the session ended, your teachers ended the session, you were signed in, you can click OK and you're done. So that's one way that you could use Nearpod. The other way that you can use Nearpod is as a student-paced lesson. So in this case, I don't even remember what this one is. Let's take a look. This is something that I believe that I just chose for free. And you can see off on the side, it gives some suggestions for 3 things that might be helpful. So I'm going to go and do a quick preview. Gosh, 62 slides. Wow. And so you can see that this presentation has a built-in video. It has a teacher's guide. So before you use these, it's like everything else. You need to have a really good look at what it is that the pre-made lesson is doing. Some of them can work really well as standalone and others won't. And so what I'm going to do is, I don't want you to do a whole heck of a lot with this. I'm just going to put it in student-paced mode, access student-paced mode to support your students during COVID-19. Nearpod's providing student-paced mode to all teachers through October 31st. Okay, and so that tells us something right there. So we'll have to see what ends up happening when we get to the end of the summer. This could end up being one of those products that you won't be able to use because it's going to be a paid feature when we go back to school in September, or things could change and they extend things. But just so that you see what it looks like, I'm going to again copy this into our chat room so that you could try it as a shared lesson. So let's get over there. Okay, so here's the chat room. And hold on, chat. Oh, I had it out of the way. Okay. So there's the code, and I'm going to go over again to my Firefox just so that I can allow people who are watching this after the fact and not able to try it online, see what this shared student-paced version looks like. So again, I'm typing in my name, joining my session, and now I'm going through this at my own pace. So as a teacher, I could get this free downloaded content. I can, and I'll show you, delete out the slides that were teacher information. And there's a little notes navigator that students can jump around if they want to jump back to something they saw, especially this is really big. And so what's a paragraph? As the student, I can watch the video. And that was actually only, that wasn't even a real video. That was just sort of like a sales job for who created that. And so before you read, quizzes, and so now here I am, and I'm going to take a quiz, and then I'll show you how this looks on the teacher's side. So you can work a couple of seconds, and I'll work a couple of seconds, and then we'll take a look. Okay. And if you miss something, it does go back and it tells you, you know, do you want to continue without answering everything, or do you want to go back and re-answer something, which is what I did. Then we have a recap of what the correct answers were, and then it moves into another interactive quiz. So I'm going to go back over to the teacher side, and I'm going to say, let's view the progress. And so I can come in here and see how the kids are progressing. So I've got 5 kids into this lesson. And now I'm flipping through to the quiz, and I can see who answered what question, who hasn't answered yet. So this is the kind of lesson where you could have this put into Google Classroom or SeeSaw or Class Dojo or whatever, sent by email to the students. And then you can tell them that, you know, your work on English for the week is to work through this Nearpod lesson. So I am going to stop sharing my screen and let Anna, if she'd like to share her screen or just talk to us a little bit and tell us what lesson did you end up trying with your students, because you said you tried it once, and what did you like and what did you not like?
It was really just like a 3-slide. It was my, you know, lesson. It was my attempt to do something with a small class. And for what I tried and what I saw in the demonstration that I got from the rep, what I really like about it is the ability of interaction inside the classroom and outside the classroom. You have to create only one lesson, whether you have students in the classroom or outside or half and half, and they are able to interact real time. And also what makes it very a great tool for differentiation, because you are able to see, you know, you're able to modify some lessons, but you're also able to see who's getting behind, who's not actually getting the topic, who's not understanding, and you can keep them anonymous. You don't have to, you know, shame them, and I think the ones that might be a little bit more fearful to give you an answer in the classroom might be able to do it behind a screen if they know they're going to stay anonymous. That's, you know, the interaction, the differentiation, and also that I think it was like 24,000 pre-made lessons that they have there, literally for any level from kindergarten all the way to high school. You know, I think that comes with a paid version, the access to a lot more. But yes, basically the ability to be as real time as possible, even with students that are not in the classroom with you, which is something that I was hearing from a lot of our teachers, like, how can I track their progress real time? That was one of the most difficult things for them, to be able to interact and track how they're doing, because they can be explaining something on the screen, but they're not sure if the student is actually getting it real time, or pause and explain something. So I think Nearpod or Pear Deck, they're very similar, can do that as well. What I didn't necessarily like, I wasn't thrilled about, is the price for the paid version, and the fact that for the little ones, if they're home, they're going to have to do this, Zoom with a teacher, and at the same time be able to go two screens at the same time. It might be a little bit more difficult for the younger ones.
Right. And so I'm just putting up the screen while you're talking, Anna, the pricing. And so silver is free, and you can have.
They give us a school-wide price, and if I'm not mistaken, for a school like ours, I had here I will share with you the price. That the quote that they gave us, it was about $2,500 for 1 year for
Okay.
For I think it's maybe up to 250 licenses, something like that.
Yeah, it says on the screen session size up to 200. So I guess that would be if you wanted to have all the parents something, or you wanted a whole school effect.
Yeah.
But for free, they do. I'm just clicking on the basic features. I mean, they do give you a lot for free.
Yeah.
And maybe this is really good. More to keep in mind for when you're back in class face to face.
Yeah.
Also, Anna had mentioned Pear Deck as another tool in case you've never heard of it. So Pear Deck is a company that allows you to insert questions into Google Slides. And so it's kind of, it's a similar idea, a little bit different. And again, that has a basic ability, individual account, and custom pricing for schools. So, this was more just to get people an idea of different tools that are out there. Go ahead, Patricia.
This is a very basic question, and I'm sorry because I'm still trying to get this through my head. And like the banana thing that you put up,
right?
That's something that you made in Google Slides that you then drop into Nearpod. Is that how that works?
Actually, that one, I think that I made that on the fly. So let me just go back over to Nearpod for a second. I'm going to go back to, do you want to leave the session? Yes. So go ahead, Anna.
Both Nearpod and Pear Deck are add-ons onto Google Slides, so you can create your own. You can add. I mean, I know definitely Pear Deck is an add-on. So.
Right, and so here in Nearpod, you have two choices. You could do a lesson in Google Slides or create it in Nearpod, which is what I did with the banana thing. So I just said lesson in Nearpod. I'm going to add a slide, and it says, so what do you want to add in here? And what kind of activity do you want to add? And I'm going to create just a standard slide. And on this standard slide, I want to put an image. So it says, where do I want to get my image from? I think I probably just went banana. And so there's a banana picture, and I'm going to save it. And here's my bananas on the slide. Okay. And I got BANA, NA. And you can add a background. Again, searching an image or uploading your own. You could change the layout of the slide. So maybe I just want the one element, the banana, or maybe I want 4 elements. I want to put 4 different pictures. So they give you some, some minimal things that you could do. I could change the size of the picture so that the banana fits a little bit better. I could throw it in the garbage. And then I can also change the style.
Okay.
So it gives a lot of that. I'm going to save and exit out of this slide. And now I'm ready to add my next slide. And so this is where, and I'm only going to do this one more. So maybe I want to have now an activity where they're going to draw me something. And so this is where I had put the picture of the apple. And let's see, I'll choose this one. I'm going to save that. And I said, write the word apple. And then you could also add a timer, which I didn't. And I'm going to save it. And then once you have those all together, you can just, you can delete slides, you can copy slides, paste slides. So there's a lot that you can do, and I'm done. And what do I want to call this? Sample created on my own. What grade? So they'll, they'll add this to other things people can find. What subject area? And save and exit. And this also allows me to find things easier too. So I could bring in a lesson from Google and add to it, or I can create my own.
And
Yeah.
and even with the create your own, so even if you have the free edition, it would save everything for you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've never ever had a paid edition, although it does say on the slide your gold experience expired. I think years ago they wanted people to try gold, and I tried it for a little bit. So you might be limited in the free edition to some of the question types, but the main ones like type in an answer or draw an answer come for free.
Yeah, I
And
think
that-
only the I think it's there's one that you can drag things.
Mm-hmm.
The drag and there's like two, maybe three options that are, they're very cool. You can drag and do different things, but they're not deal breakers if you want to go with a free.
Right, right.
With a free version. They are good to have, whether they're worth $2,500 for a whole school. I don't know. I mean, if you're really sure that all your teachers are going to use it a lot.
And I think this is one of those things where you wouldn't want to rush in for a whole school, but if you're looking for an extra tool in your toolbox as a teacher and you've never heard of it before, it would definitely be something that I would say play with, because it might bring you an opportunity that you didn't know existed. And it may not be something that you're going to feel comfortable with working in remote learning, but if you are back in the school face to face and you're able to do something where maybe the technology teacher comes in and you try to do it with the kids to see how they're able to navigate it. And then maybe if we go back to remote learning, you want to give it a try in remote learning. And then at the end of June 2021, it might be something that other teachers or your principal have seen, and then you'd look to spend the money. But using it for free, there's an awful lot there that you wouldn't have to spend the money. Trish, did you ever play with Nearpod with your students?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
And that's fine. Go ahead, Patricia.
I'm sorry, just one more question. And this is usable on any device? Because I had some trouble with some students who only had phones to work from during our regular meets and stuff like that. They would be able to do this from everything, do you know, or?
We're going to find that out right this second.
Okay. No, I can look that up. I just thought you might know.
No, I'm curious myself, and it's nice to be able to throw in this as the recording. So
I believe it is. When I asked that question, they said it was. Whether it's optimal to use it on a small screen, I don't know, because of the,
Right. Yeah.
right.
but I believe they can do that, because if you just do the self-paced, they'll be able to open it on the website.
Right, and this is just EdSurge. If you've never come across EdSurge, is a really reliable group who does research and talks about how to use tools with students for educational technology. So they have this, and I just happened upon it from 2015, so it's old, but they are saying it's web-based iPhone, iPad, or Android app. Using cell phones, tablets, or computers. So I'll copy this into the chat, just if you felt like looking at that. But it does seem that it can work on any device.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was really what I had to share. I don't know if Anna has anything else she thinks that she learned that would be helpful to hear, or if any of the if Andrea, Trish, if you have any other questions.
No, I just decided to check it out this morning because when we first got the lessons learned list, I kind of mentally thought, okay, I used Class Dojo, I used Flipgrid, I used, whatever, and I kind of kind of mentally prepared myself to do the ones that I had actually used. And I felt like every time I went on one of these meets, there were people who never used these products and were like, well, I'm going to check it out. So this morning I said, well, I've never used Nearpod, so let me check it out.
I'm glad that you did. And that was the interesting thing about all these lessons learned in Q&A. I thought it would be more people who wanted to share what they did and ask each other questions. And it was primarily people who had never used these things before.
Yeah, it was real. I found that interesting too. It was kind of cool.
And, Patricia, I have to give you such kudos because I know you've been to almost every one of these, and it's really just learning for learning's sake. So I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know what'll work for your little kids, but I know you had sent an email way early in this saying that your tech support, your tech integration specialist has been an amazing support at your school. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I would never have been able to survive without her, really. I mean, she was putting in 26-hour days. It was nuts. At any time, I'd email her and she'd email me right back. It was crazy, but we got through it.
We did. So, I know Lori's just fantastic when it comes to helping you, but just you being open to thinking about your pre-K4, right? Or remind me.
Pre-K4.
Pre-K4. So, just being able to think through what could work. And if you want to try things out, I know Lori will play your student, just to see how it would work. And as we get back to next year, I know Gloria is going to want to get together on Friday or whatever day.
Right.
She'll want to get together again. So if you chance on trying any of these things, we always love to hear what really then practically works with the kids. And this is only elementary teachers on the Zoom right now, but from a high school perspective, Nearpod can really bring a lot because you have so many different ways to show what you know, which is what Anna was saying. That differentiation can be really good on Nearpod.
I just want to thank all the people like the Trishas, and I know so many others who have shared so much. It has just been so helpful. Really, really, I thank you very much. To the dinosaur. The dinosaur thanks you.
I'd like to add that as well, because Kristen,
you.
Anna, and Andrea, you've been with me for so many of these Zooms. So the fact that you were so busy and you took time to be so open and sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to miss these.
I know.
I don't know if any school uses Schoology or Canvas, but they are integrated with them. So it's a nice tool to have right in the dashboard. Students don't have to get out of the platform to access it. They just click and you can just integrate everything there.
And that's more the high schools do the Schoology or the Canvas because they are really expensive. But I believe it has Google integration as well, although I haven't played with that. So
I did not explore that.
yeah.
Yeah, they have lowered their prices. At least Schoology has, for smaller schoolers, like smaller schools, like Catholic schools, but still pricey, because even though they lowered from, like, let's say 5,000 to 3,500 for a school license, they still want 3-year contracts.
Wow. Okay.
So
Yeah, and that's why it's try things, play with things. If you begin to find them invaluable and other teachers find them invaluable, and this isn't just Nearpod, it's any of the tools that are out there, because there's so many that can be purchased, and it's easy to make a purchase, but it's always better to play and use it with your students. And if you start feeling like this could be invaluable, that's the time to really talk to the principal about the purchases. And Andrea and Trish and Anna, as the tech integration specialists, that. I mean, you help the principals all the time making these decisions, and money's tight in
I'm
any good
curious
year.
to see what your teachers found invaluable, Andrea or Trish. I know in our school, I think Cami is going to be a no-brainer.
Cami app, okay.
We're gonna have to. I think they're like, please pay whatever. It's
I
just
think
a great
I think for the
tool.
most part, both my schools really just locked into the Google products, really just locked into everything in one place. My younger grades at one of my schools really did use Class Dojo a lot. I could see them continuing that. And get Epic Books. I can't say enough. Like, even if that goes to paid, I think I'll pay for it myself. Like,
Wow.
it's a no-brainer, even to the point that I have neighbors who have 2 little boys. One of them is 3 and one of them is 2, and sometimes we'll be sitting in the yard and I get them to read books on there too, and I can't say enough about that. So I could see that continuing as well. But other than, like, everything, I think everybody kind of liked everything really streamlined, everything in just one place. The parents at home have one login, and
Yeah.
so. But in cases like this, if somebody came to me and said, hey, I need something a little bit more interactive with slides, I could recommend a Nearpod or, something like that.
Right.
Right. And if you haven't, I don't know, Patricia, if you ever came across that Get Epic.
Oh,
Lori put that out to our parents. Yeah, our parents loved it.
Yeah, because that is just, as long as you have those school accounts, somebody, and it may have been Trish yesterday saying, sometimes parents will get confused and try to create their own account. They need to go through the school's account for it to be free. But I'm
right.
glad that you came across that, Patricia.
Get Epic. Yep, I would say the definitely the Class Dojo will probably continue, with that, and then try to make the move over to the Google Classroom, which would help our school. But they do like everything in the one place too. And then the fact that they have, the school story, so the whole school could post something as a whole or showcase students' work and projects, which is really great, or make announcements as a whole school on the class story, or highlight students of the month or different students and staff birth dates. But definitely, with the move toward Google Classroom too. And the other thing I forgot to mention about Class Dojo that they do is, if you do go to type a message to a parent or post something on the class story, and you make a mistake, oh my goodness, I forgot to add something, or I spelled something wrong, and you're checking it, but you already press send or post, you're actually allowed to go back in and edit it, and it will actually edit it, take it down, and then put it back up again. So it actually does allow you to do that, which is nice. Even on a private message to a parent, it will allow you to sort of unsend and then fix it, and you can resend it, which is a nice little capability that has too, which is a good thing. So
Yeah, that's interesting.
Real quick, we used SeeSaw, but I have one teacher that just loved Class Dojo, and I have to say I did not explore it myself because we just went full on with SeeSaw, and all the other teachers loved SeeSaw. But have you used both, and could you, in 2 sentences, tell me which one you go for and why?
Trish, have you used both? I personally haven't, and our school's really only stayed with the Class Dojo. So, you know,
I used SeeSaw years ago in the lab when we were introduced to it at one of our workshops. I tried it. We did not have Google Classroom at that time. We were not a Google Apps school at that time. So that really did give me a nice little place to set up portfolios and things like that. I did try to go back into my teacher account like a while after I had really used it. I kind of went away from it and we became a Google Apps school and then all that happened. And then I was looking at something or whatever and it was completely revamped. And I was like, oh God, what's going on here? So I never kind of like dove back into it and I didn't use it at all during remote learning. I find Class Dojo, just like you presented last week, I find Class Dojo to be really, really good for the younger kids.
right.
It's really good. And when I first started using Class Dojo, I was only using it for classroom management. Like, oh, you're out of your seat. That's a point. You know, like that sort of thing. Have it up on the smart board. And then when actually the younger grade teachers at my school really explored more of it than I even knew what was there. And then, you know, like I said last week, you know, one of my, you know, I emailed the kindergarten teacher and can you just make sure that this and this and this and this? And she's like, do you want me to just add you as a teacher on my Class Dojo? I was like, okay. And then I was able to get messages to them and post work to them. And then parents were commenting back, oh my God, thank you. This is so much easier. So I think it's good if you have younger grades. I think it's fantastic. And even at my other school, I was actually there when you did your presentation last week and the kindergarten teacher popped in and she's like, are you on that? And that's who I was talking to when I forgot to mute myself. Yeah. She's like, are you on? I said, you're welcome to join. And she's like, just take notes for me or whatever. So I sent her the email of where Ann posts all the YouTube links. And then I said, she doesn't have it up yet, but she will. So it was great. I mean, word got out like that. So.
Oh, thank you. That
Yeah,
is.
of course.
Oh, and to let you know, if you have the Class Dojo, when I was on the webinar with the lady from Class Dojo, who's really great, this Caitlin, who is a teacher, and she sort of handles all of their professional development workshops and webinars. And she said she recommends to not basically archive it or shut it down at the end of the year, just because if you ever did want to reach out to a student or a parent, you know, in terms of safety, it's not so much like a Google Classroom with graded assignments or things that, you know, students or parents could try to sort of get into. So you don't really need to worry because nobody will really get into the work or anything. But she suggested to just sort of leave it open because I think if you, did you call it graduate a class or something, you'll lose everything, I guess.
Okay.
So you could archive, but she sort of suggested to just leave it open. So that's what I told the teachers at our school, that there was no real reason to sort of shut it down per se. And our principal's still having us post some things like that summer from Sadlier has that little summer online.
Right.
You know, so we posted that to the parents through Class Dojo. So you never know, you know, if the governor makes an announcement about the schools, even though the last day for the students was June 12th for us, you know, this way it's open and you could go and post something at any time. And our parents have been really great. Like they haven't really been, you know, bothering the teachers or anything like that. But that's basically what the lady from Class Dojo had suggested to do. So if, you know, if any of your teachers use it and you do want to let them know, you know, to just kind of keep it open, you know, or you could archive, but definitely
one that used it
like
in addition to SeeSaw. We used SeeSaw up to 3rd grade and then Google Classroom after that.
Yeah, that's great. That's perfect.
I think next year they want to do SeeSaw only up to 2nd grade. We might just consider it because we want to do the 3rd graders to start switching teachers.
That's exactly where I start switching.
Getting ready for the Chromebooks.
Yep.
So we're going to do probably SeeSaw up to 2nd grade and then Google Classroom 3rd grade and up. So I have a big learning curve ahead of me with the incoming 3rd graders going from SeeSaw to switching to Google Classroom.
I'm available all summer long, so I hope that you all have a good amount of time that you can really just collect your thoughts and be yourself with your family and put some of the school aside because you need to recharge your batteries. But if you think of anything, if you have questions, I'm here I'm just an email or phone call away, so let me know.